What is going on, everybody? It is the Going Over Big Time podcast. I am Mike Charlip, and I'm joined by my friend and co-host Alan the Cantastic. And today we're doing something a little different. So we've kind of talked about this in passing in past episodes, but there's been a lot of movement as far as people going from company to company in the past couple of weeks and months. And some of those have been a better fit, in my opinion. Like the best examples would be Andrade going back to AEW and Danhausen going to WWE. Danhausen just seems like he's made for WWE, and Andrade the other way around as well. So I thought it would be a good idea to do a episode on this of who we would trade between companies. And I put a bunch of people down and I tried to make some ground rules for myself. Basically, I didn't want to include anybody that just signed a new contract or was who moved recently or something like that, but just people that I think would be better fits in either company. Alan, how are you doing, and what are your thoughts on this topic?
I think it's an interesting topic, considering what the two examples you just brought up. Danhausen obviously debuted at the Elimination Chamber, emerging from this mysterious box. I will say miles ahead in terms of improvement than a giant turkey coming out.
Of course.
And I'm watching this guy for years. It was very interesting character, very interesting act, but it was I guess in AEW it just didn't really. It was funny, but it's how far ahead is that gonna go, right? And
yeah,
you're this is really more of a sports entertainment kind of character rather than a wrestling character. It's almost the same years ago with Broken Matt Hardy when he went to AEW as Broken Matt, but it's and that was during the COVID era, so there was no people around to react to it, and it was that kind of character was tailor-made for TNA because TNA could do all the cinematic stuff and make it enhance the character a little bit more.
Yep.
Same thing with here, Danhausen, he's just a weird dude, right? So he's just going around and he's cursing people, and surprisingly, the cursing is actually taking effect. We saw Dom Mysterio lose his title. El Grande Americano, at least one of them got cursed and was not in the match it was supposed to be and stuff like that. So they actually are playing off on that.
Yep.
Andrade, when he went back to WWE, I think there was a lot of hype, but then it's didn't really work because he was just teaming with Ray Phoenix and that wasn't really going anywhere.
Yeah.
Now that he's gone back to AEW, he's kind of just revamped himself in this character that's a little more like a Latino
Lothario.
Yes, that's the word. I was thinking of that word, but I wasn't sure if that was the right word. He's getting some hot chick at ringside every week to take pictures of him and show him affection, and that's kind of a neat thing.
Since you mentioned that, when they do it in AEW, they just they have a plant every time it's been a plant. It's been a wrestler or a model or something, and when they do it in AEW, he just gets a picture with them or they kiss him on the cheek or something like that. The one time that he did it in the Indies was on Hog in a match against Charles Mason, and Charles Mason charged at him while this was happening, and he hit the woman. Obviously, this was a wrestler.
Yeah.
But that was very funny because that's not going to happen in AEW.
No, even AEW had some standards. They're they're willing to push the envelope a little bit, but like,
Yeah.
man hitting a woman like that is not something they would
No,
want to
this was like full charge, like a punch. Like,
yeah.
But yes, I feel like, and just to go back to like, so Andrade is the first wrestler to go from WWE to AEW, back to WWE, then back to AEW again. And obviously they had that whole drama when he came back originally, but there was the whole non-compete thing, and of course the lawyers got involved and got that situated, which is, I think, the right move. Now, originally, when he left AEW, there was some discourse. He was having issues with certain people backstage, Sammy Guevara specifically. It seems like that's died down. And I think originally he went back to WWE to be with his then wife, which was Charlotte Flair.
Mm-hmm.
They are no longer married. So I feel like that probably played a factor in him not feeling obligated to work there anymore.
That's true. Yeah, of course.
Especially since when he did go back, they did not use him at all. Like, he spent like the first year doing nothing. He was in the Royal Rumble. He returned in the Royal Rumble. And then we didn't see him again for 7 months. And then he just randomly just started teaming with random people. Ray Phoenix, like you mentioned, which doesn't make any sense because Ray Phoenix's brother is right there. But yeah, it just never. I mean, they tried things with him. I mean, he had that on and off thing with Carmelo Hayes. He had that, like, he didn't interact with Alistair like at all, which is crazy. Because they have such great history and chemistry. But yeah, now he's back in AEW. He's part of the biggest faction in the entire company, the Don Callis family. He's taking indie dates. He's having amazing matches, literally everywhere, with Kenny. A match that is about to happen apparently is very good. He has a match on Collision with Mascara Dorada that I've heard good things about and that has been taped but hasn't aired yet. And he's about to have a huge match against Bandito at Revolution, but not for the ROH World title, which it's just a match that Bandito was like, I want a match at the pay-per-view. And Andrade stepped up. So that's going to be a hell of a match because Bandito was one of the wrestlers of the year last year and is only getting better. And this run Andrade's been on has been crazy in a good way. And yeah, Danhausen, I think he belongs in WWE. Though he is a great worker, his worth is the stuff that he's doing right now, which is the character stuff, which is doing the curse stuff and messing with certain characters and giving the teeth to Michael Cole. And, stuff like that. That's what Danhausen is best at. And he's going to flourish at that in WWE. And I don't think it ever worked in AEW. So, those being the prime examples, it's I have people that I put down. I imagine you have some suggestions as well, but I put some people down that I think make the most sense to make the jump between companies. So, like, who I would trade from AEW to WWE and vice versa. So, I'm gonna start talking about who I would trade from AEW. This one was a little harder, mainly because it feels like a lot of people that are in AEW fit there a lot better than they would in WWE. But I was able to come up with some. And the first one that sticks out, I think, more than more than the others that I have, is Anna Jay. So Anna Jay has kind of had a very rocky road in AEW. It's been very stop and start. It's been very. I mean, the only constant is that she's been a tag team with Ty Mello the entire time, and it just doesn't feel like they really know what to do with her. They started this tag team division, and those two have been the best tag team or the longest running tag team, really, in the entire company before they even had tag titles. And they only won one match as a tag team in that tournament. And they had, no a lot of no rules matches, and they had some great tag team death matches in AEW. But I feel like Anna Jay probably would just fit better starting in NXT and being in that realm and improving and hopefully used to her potential in WWE. I just don't see her sticking around in AEW and getting to the level that I think people expect her to get to in AEW. I think she's got a better chance of doing that in WWE.
Yeah, I remember when Anna Jay debuted. Like, I mean, this is like even since like when the company started, right? Like she came in, she had this piffy little gimmick about her being the star of the show or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just just a worker, not really adding to much storyline. And then Brody Lee brought her into the Dark Order, and then you really saw her get put in a good spot. She choked out Brandy Rhodes,
Mm-hmm.
and if Brody had not sadly passed away, you really wonder where she would have moved forward. But she went from like one mentor, Mr. Brody Lee, to Chris Jericho, and probably under Jericho's tutelage, she really like did a bunch of like great stuff along with like Ty Mello. Um, yeah, she hasn't been used on TV for like at least a year, as far as I can tell. I mean, she hasn't been put. There was that AEW Women's Tag Title tournament, but she and Ty never really actually made it farther than
Mm-hmm.
like the initial qualifying matches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely visualize like Anna Jay being put in the position. Like at this point, like I don't really care if she's called Anna Jay. I mean, I don't think there's any harm in actually calling her Anna Jay because like there's no Anna Jay is not a brand name that's caught on. It's not like Mariah May
Mm-hmm.
that like at this point you could probably use Anna Jay because Mariah May, if they use that, rhymes too much. So if they brought in Mariah May and then had Anna Jay, they sound the same. So one of them would have to change the name eventually. But WWE, in their own twisted, convoluted way, may have preempted that with Blake Monroe.
Yeah.
So they could bring in Anna Jay. Yeah, like you said, in NXT. Um, help build her profile down there a little bit, and then see where it goes from there. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead of the gun here, but I could visualize like Ty Mello being back in the NXT / WWE at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not gonna do it because it's WWE, but Anna and Ty, like maybe they could get that tag team title run that people kind of expect. But that's more like if you only watched AEW wrestling, you would pick up on that. I don't know if people would pick up on that in WWE.
Yeah.
But that's sort of my fantasy booking style at that point.
Well, and this goes
Yeah.
back to like a thing that we've talked about a lot, where it's like the same people just over and over again in AEW, and it's not necessarily a huge problem, but it's like rotate some other people in. I haven't seen Nyla Rose in like a year and a half. I haven't, I haven't like it got early on. It was like she's been on everything. Let's take a break from her. And now we have taken a break from her, and I want to see her again. But that's like just as an example, AEW needs to have a better rotation of talent instead of the same people going for every belt and the same people on every show. Um, that is, and obviously there's some people that should be used more, but for whatever reason they aren't. And I think Anna Jay falls into that category, but who knows what's going on with her? She kind of disappeared once talks about her contract expiring soon was in the zeitgeist. That's why I think, and people talked about her leaving her options open. I could totally see her leaving. I could totally see her jumping, and just for the experience, I think. And maybe down the line, if she gains that experience, she is only 27. If she wants to wrestle for another decade, she totally can. And getting that experience of working somewhere else and maybe going back one day. Another act that I think would do great switching from AEW to WWE is the Outrunners. The Outrunners, right now, and really the entire time, they're a novelty act. They have been since day one. They're a throwback to the '80s. They come out and they change the aspect
They
ratio
come
of
out
the
in grainy. They
screen.
come out in grainy
Yeah,
VHS video.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
They wear Zumbas to the ring and have attire that looks like cigarette boxes, and they're just '80s. That's their thing, and that isn't working in the wrestling company. Like, I mean, I think it was for a little bit, but they're solely like lately they're solely on ROH. They were just recently on Collision for like the first time in like a really long time. And they haven't really done anything storyline wise at all. Like, I mean, they were like quote unquote friends with FTR, and then FTR turned heel and left the Outrunners out in the dust and feuded with them for like a minute. But since then, it's like, what are they doing? And I again, I feel like similar to Anna Jay, but they probably would do better in WWE solely because of the act. Because it just doesn't seem
yeah,
to
I tend to
fit.
agree. Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean,
And
they're really just like a Hulk Hogan copy, right? At this point, and
essentially,
or a Superstar Billy Graham or a Magnum TA like kind of clone, right? And it's like you're right. I haven't really until you brought them up. It's like yeah, I guess they're on ROH or something, and they're probably doing something else with Dalton Castle. I think it was. Um. So, but like yeah, they're a novelty act. They're not going to be like there was a time when they were sort of like peaking over. You probably thought they could be contenders for the tag titles, but didn't happen. And now they're on ROH, and ROH isn't as widely distributed as the main show, right? So,
yeah.
yeah,
And
I
I
mean,
don't think I mean compared to Anna Jay, obviously, I don't think that those guys are very young. I think they're like almost 40. Um, they've been wrestling, I guess, on the independents and in OVW for years before they came to AEW. And I really like them as an act. I really like them as a team. I just there was a period, and I think still to this day, where people can't really take them seriously as contenders because of how novelty the act is. And that's nothing against them. It's just that they're not going to they're not going to be FTR versus Young Bucks. Good. And that's the bar. And that's nothing against them. But if they went to WWE or even NXT just to help the younger talent, I feel like it would make the most sense.
Like, yeah. I mean, like, I can just visualize it now. Like, you don't watch NXT as much, but the Outrunners doing like a team or some kind of group thing with like the Hank and Tank. It's just like those are like Hank and Tank, like Hank Walker and Tank Ledger are literally the Outrunners in the NXT right now. That's their version of. It's like the almost a mirror copy, except it's like in terms of like the sort of like energy that they exude and the sort of like I guess like I guess power moves or like style. It's like the Hank and Tank are literally the mirror copies of the Outrunners right now. So so it's like the appetite I guess is there for that kind of like group team, but as you said, these guys are like hitting their 40s, and I don't know what's going on in WWE. It seems very selective. Like wrestlers coming in at their 40s, they either are kept off TV because they don't have any plans for them, or they want to talk to them about transitioning them to a backstage role or non-wrestling role. And anyway,
well, yeah, I mean, based on what you were, I mean, Miro is the perfect example of that. Miro is like basically 40, and he said he left AEW because he wanted to wrestle. And now what is he doing? Not wrestling. I mean, he's been. I mean, the last
wrestling
couple
for
of
like 5 seconds.
Yeah. So yeah, I just don't see the Outrunners doing a lot in AEW. I like I said, I think they're very good. I think they're a great act. It's just what they're doing now is probably their ceiling. And I guess maybe they're okay with that. But all right, another group that I have that I think would benefit from going to WWE, mainly because kind of like the Outrunners, but not on the same level, are kind of just there and kind of not doing anything, is the male members of Skyflight, Scorpio and Top Flight. Scorpio spent like 2 years doing nothing. Literally. He was at home, not injured. And now he's just in a group as a mentor to Dante and Darius, but also wrestling. Him and Christopher Daniels have the same role. He's just wrestling and Christopher Daniels isn't. Like, this guy was one of the first ever AEW Tag Team Champions. And his partner in that is in TNA and making appearances in NXT. I feel like he got a couple of TNT title runs. He's probably not going to eclipse that. He's probably not going to do anything past that. And just like the Outrunners, he's stuck on ROH. Or he's a fall guy for teams that need to get wins. And that guy is very good at wrestling and could benefit from, just like the Outrunners, I think, being in NXT and helping and doing more and, carrying the North American title probably and getting good matches out of guys that need it. And he could also make TNA appearances. And
so I was just thinking, like you said, Scorpio and Skyflight like should be in WWE. I was thinking like at first maybe TNA because I'm like I don't know how much traction they would get as a trio in.
Well, I just lumped them together because they're a group right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if they left, I don't think they would remain a trio. I just lump them
Well,
together because they're a group right now. Obviously,
well, if you listen, yeah.
Darius and Dante are a tag team. They're going to remain a tag team, and those guys, I think, would benefit from getting just like Anna Jay, getting the experience somewhere else, and then maybe coming back down the line. Those guys are very young. They have time to get better. And right now they've been in AEW for a long time, and it doesn't look like they're breaking through the glass ceiling anytime soon. That's why they're stuck in ROH. And I think that they would probably benefit. Like a great example of this, and he obviously didn't go to WWE, but he's flourishing on the indies, is Alan Angels. Alan Angels left AEW to take a chance on himself because he, at the time, didn't think he was going to go anywhere in AEW because Dark Order stopped mattering, unfortunately, when we lost Brody Lee. And he probably wasn't going to get the jolt that he has now as a heel on the indies by staying in AEW. And maybe he does go back down the line when he feels ready. But I feel like Darius and Dante need something like that. And it like they need to build off of something. They right now they're just brothers that jump a lot. That's their gimmick.
Yeah, okay. So here's what I'll say. Look, Scorpio and Top Flight, Skyflight, they might actually be better off doing some kind of indie run first before we ascertain whether they are good at WWE. As a bit of an aside, they already have one bald black wrestler in WWE, and that's R-Truth right now because he just shaved his head. In fact, as we're speaking, they just did a backstage segment with R-Truth and his new partner Damian Priest. R-Truth, because he shaved his head bald, is wearing a Stone Cold Steve Austin 316 Day T-shirt as if he's the Black Stone Cold now. Anyway, my concern is all black wrestlers either get turned into comedy acts or they don't get a lot of traction. Because the last trio group of black wrestlers was the Hurt Syndicate. And if you believe what MVP has been telling you, Triple H wasn't really that down with that type of theme genre. So I don't know. I don't want to make aspersions here, but it was just like they didn't really catch on under Hunter. They might have done better under Vince because Vince loves his big jack muscle bound guys. But
well, that's why they would be better off in NXT.
Yeah. At this point, like Shawn Michaels and Triple H are way more open to more the lighter athletic guys, which Dante Martin and Darius Martin would fit in perfectly. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag here. Like I don't know about like keep them together or put them together and then see if we can package them out in the indies or in NXT or something. But like I think like Top Flight would be a good fit in NXT. And as a Scorpio, I'm not entirely sure. I think he could do sort of an Alan Angel style run in a bunch of companies before like settling down in like TNA or something, and then maybe working his way up to WWE at some point.
And it's a valid argument. It's a valid argument. I wouldn't disagree with you, honestly.
Can I add one here?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm overlapping a bit. I just happen to start writing some of these down. These might be obvious, but I know they just got there. But I think another a team of I guess female tag team that just got to AEW probably would be better off in WWE is the Inspiration, formerly known as the Iconics. I know they just signed there, but considering that their first like actual match they lost, they basically lost. They made them debut in Australia, not even in front of the live audience. Cassie Lee's real life husband, Sean Spears, is in NXT.
Uh-huh.
They were just seen when they were still on TNA doing the crossover promotional stuff with NXT. If the only reason they wanted to go to WWE was to keep using Harley Cameron's theme song that she sang for them, I don't know if that was a good trade off. I
Mm-hmm.
like the song. It's just that if they're being treated like that, I mean, they kind of
Well,
look better as a WWE style package, right?
yeah, I mean, I didn't include them because I like I said, I set ground rules for myself that they just got there,
Ah,
so I didn't want to.
right. Okay.
I mean, I understand your argument completely, but I think that I mean, we're talking a little here about Revolution, but Willow has 2 matches at Revolution and is probably going to lose one of them. I think that's going to be the tag titles. And if that's the case, just put the inspiration with Harley. Make them a group. And Willow can do her own thing. And I mean, Harley and the inspiration should be together anyway. It's like a match made in heaven, not even just because she sings their theme song. That's just an added bonus. um, but yeah, I wasn't expecting them to come into AEW with like a ton of fanfare. Like, yes, they're very like popular, like as far as the act that they are, but Jesse McKay specifically is all about the comedy. Like, and they weren't going to go into a match with with uh Megan Bain and get any offense in, I don't think. But I don't know. But yeah, I need to see more of what they're gonna do there. But if that's their role, I guess that's fine. But yeah, they just got there, so maybe they're just having fun right now. All right, another act that I have two more names that I put down for going from AEW to WWE. And one of them, I'll save the big one for last. It might be very obvious, but the next one I have, and I feel bad for this guy. It's Preston Vance. So he's a very good worker, and he got over because of the Dark Order, and because Brody Lee Jr. loves him. Um, but since he left the Dark Order, he's kind of done nothing. He was part of LFI for a little bit, and he was the fall guy for that group. And now he's in a group in ROH called the Frat House with Griff Garrison, Cole Carter, and what's their manager's name who sometimes wrestles that I forgot?
He used to be with those the Bear Country guys. Jack
Yeah,
Jameson. Yeah.
Jack Jameson. That's great.
Which I don't even know if the guy wrestles or he just has muscles and he's
He
just like
he
a backup.
he wrestles sometimes, but not as often as the other guys. Um, I just feel like Preston Vance has a ton of potential, and he really hasn't gotten to show it since leaving the Dark Order. He's kind of just been there doing this. And there's so much more I think he could be doing. And obviously, he fits the mold of WWE big guy. Cody just recently did an interview where he said that WWE needs more muscle guys. which is hilarious considering he's not a muscle guy. But and I just feel like he would fit. Like even if he went there and teamed with Royce Keys, that would be a dominant tag team. Like, I don't know what Royce Keys is going to be doing, considering he debuted in January. It's the middle of March, and he has not wrestled a match since. But still going to be in the video game, apparently.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You know what Preston Vance's real name is? Cody Vance.
That's hilarious.
His real name is Cody Vance.
That's
so
hilarious.
You just brought up the fact that Cody said. I feel like oh my gosh, you know what? This is great. Okay, I know WWE messed up like Shiloh Hill because his real name is Thunder Justice, and like for some reason they didn't capitalize on that. The fact that Preston Vance's first real life name is Cody, and you just talked about the fact that Cody says we need more muscle guys in this company. Like, if there was a time where Cody down the road was going to turn heel, whether it's at WrestleMania or Backlash or down the road, right? And he needs like a backup guy or like a bodyguard. Preston is perfect.
Yeah.
He is such a blank slate right now, right? Because if you brought him in, nobody gives a shit whether it was Preston Vance or number 9 or whatever Dark Order number what he was.
He was 10. He was 10.
Yeah, he was Dark Order. He was Dark Order number 10 or Preston Vance. Like he had so many
Press 10 Vance.
Press 10 Vance. Like he had so many like identities. Press 10 Vance. Like he was with LFI. Now he's with this frat house group. Like, it's like one of those stories where like, you don't know what to put this guy as, right? I remember watching the Dark Side of the Ring episode about John Tenta, formerly known as Earthquake. When he went to WCW, they couldn't use Earthquake, so they called him Avalanche, and then they called him a Shark, and then like he just wasn't anything. And then he went back to WWE as Golga for the oddities. It was just like, you didn't know what to put him with. Preston Vance is such a blank slate. Like none of those things ever caught on. Nobody would remember them. Like he can come in as fresh. Whether you put him with Will Hobbs, Royce Keys, I have some stuff to say about Royce Keys after. But it's like, you got a fresh guy there that's not doing anything. He's not really living up to his potential, and you've got your top guy in the other company already saying you need someone like a Preston Vance around here, and they sort of have a connection through Brody Lee Jr. So it's like almost a match made in heaven,
And he just turned 34, so he's like his prime is not even like his wrestling prime is still on the horizon, like. I feel like he needs something new. He needs something different, and he's just not going to get that here because, like I said, I think things are way different for every single member of the Dark Order if Brody Lee is still with us. That's a very unfortunate thing that happened for everybody involved, Brody's family, and the people that were under him. Because when they lost him, the Dark Order stopped being relevant. Very unfortunately. You could probably even make an argument for Silver and Reynolds for the same reason. I don't think Evil Uno would go to WWE because he's very happy doing what he's doing. The video game stuff, mystery wrestling. But you could probably Silver and Reynolds probably would flourish in WWE. Maybe not in the main roster because Silver is very tiny, but definitely in NXT. But yeah, I think Preston Vance, he hasn't even scratched the surface, and he's not getting to do that. And he might get to do that if he jumped ship. Um, and I would want to see that for him. So yeah, all right. So the last name that I have down for moving from AEW to WWE might be a very obvious one. It's one that people are talking about a lot lately. It's Britt Baker.
I wrote Britt Baker down just now too.
Yeah, yeah. So Britt Baker is the first woman signed to AEW, first female wrestler signed to AEW. There was a lot riding on her as the face of the women's division. She hadn't really broke out as a wrestler before going to AEW. Obviously, she had a indie run. She was on and off in ROH, and for whatever reason, ever since like she lost the belt, feuded with Saraya, and that didn't go great. Had a one-off match with Mercedes that also didn't go great, and she's just disappeared since. And as soon as like she's one of Deonna Purrazzo's best friends in the entire world, and the fact that they aren't a tag team is crazy. And they should be a tag team. They should be dominating this tag team division because that would be something for them to do that would be great. And it's just not happening. Um, what is that? What is that noise? Hearing some background noise. Huh. All right, it stopped. But yeah, and Tony Khan keeps getting asked about Britt Baker and keeps saying Britt Baker will be back when the time is right. Something's going to happen soon. What else is there for her to do in AEW? I mean, again, like I mentioned, the tag team division is ripe for her right now. And there's multiple people she could team with, but Deonna would be the perfect choice for obvious reasons. And they would just be a great heel tag team down the line. But the fact that it hasn't happened already makes me very concerned that it's never going to happen. And obviously, there's other feuds you could have for her. She hasn't feuded with a lot of these new people that are in AEW, but the most recent Dynamite in Pittsburgh, the fact that she wasn't there at all was very evident to a lot of people that things are not looking good for her relationship with AEW. And I don't know why. Nobody knows why. Only she does, and that's up for her. That's up to her to share if she ever wants to. Just like Cody, probably never will. But the fact that she was your first face of the women's division, had one of the best matches with Thunder Rosa on that St. Patrick's Day Slam in 2021. And it's just the last 2.5 years have felt like she doesn't even work there anymore. And she does. She has the entire time. And she doesn't post about wrestling at all. Apparently she doesn't practice dentistry full time anymore. So yeah, maybe it's just time for her for some new scenery. And let her have matches with, Charlotte, Becky, AJ, Natty. Just, I think it's just time. You agree?
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with you. I mean, like you said, like the episode of Dynamite at Pittsburgh, and she didn't show up. That's kind of pretty indicative that um, they don't have much for going on for her down in that company anymore. Even though she's like one of the sort of like an AEW original, right? So
Yeah.
when you run your course in a company and you're like was one of the top talent there, it's kind of sad to hear. But yeah, I would say not as similar to the Anna Jay situation. The Anna Jay one, like in NXT, I would just put Britt Baker straight into the
Oh yeah.
main
Yeah.
roster.
Straight to Raw.
That's just me, but they have a system that I go through and all this other stuff.
No. She would get the AJ Styles treatment. She would straight to Raw.
Yeah, I think so. And frankly, it's like a fresh start. It would be like, as you said, a number of women there are there that would be like fantasy matchups for anybody to book. So
yeah,
that would be a good pick.
I would
yeah.
have I would have mentioned Bailey, but we're going to talk about her later.
Right. Another name I was thinking of bringing up, and I don't know if it overlaps with anything. I don't know if you mentioned that that was your last name there, but I was thinking I was gonna say Wardlow because
I'm gonna be completely honest, and this is not it. I'm not kidding. I forgot he works there.
It's unfortunate because he tore his bicep like literally the day he debuted, joining the Don Callis family.
Yeah,
and
something he was gone for so long before that.
Yeah, it's just like crappy timing. I don't know what's going on, whether it's like, whether this is a personal issue that he's dealing with, or I don't know, maybe AEW doesn't have enough of a good, strong medical system there to like make sure guys aren't like coming back not at least 100%. But it's just bad, it's just sucky timing, Like I still remember Wardlow like in that massive run as TNT champion, and then he broke away from finally broke away from MJF, and started becoming his own guy. And then he just disappears for a while, and then he comes back, and then he disappears, and he comes back again. At this point, there's nothing else to like pick up on. The Don Callis family, they already have like so many big guys. They got Lance Archer there, Josh Alexander. You can count him as a big guy too. They have Mark Davis. They had Jake something, another guy that got injured. Freak accident. So you already have those guys. If Jake's gonna come back, whenever he recovers from his own torn bicep, there's not a lot of room for like Wardlow because that faction is getting way too big. Like you're gonna have to, at least, you're gonna have to split off like a Don Callis East Coast and a Don Callis West Coast faction of some kind. You're like the Avengers.
Don Callis Dynamite and Don Callis Collision.
Right. And then Don Callis ROH. And then Don Callis CMLL because he's got all the luchadors.
Yeah.
But yeah, we spoke about this in the past. Like Wardlow is sort of the big guy that can like be molded and become the kind of like guy that will fit into WWE.
I think he's been primed for like a push multiple times, and it's just unfortunate circumstances. And people talk about like how AEW style is not as safe comparatively, but the people that get hurt the most are on stuff that's usually very easy to do. People don't normally get hurt on the dangerous stuff. And that's kind of what's happened with Wardlow almost every time. It's always been something very something very easy to do, whether it's just like a standard suplex or something and he landed wrong, or he threw too hard of a clothesline and tore his shoulder or something. It's always something like that with him, and that's unfortunate. And he's a great choice actually, because I think the roster is so deep now that his chances are gone. And that's unfortunate for him because after the MJF stuff, you thought he was primed to be a top guy, whether it was as a monster heel or as a babyface. But yeah, I think he is also a very good choice because obviously the history with Cody, the history with Hobbs, um, you could play off of all of that. CM Punk,
CM Punk, yeah.
yeah,
Wardlow was, it was alleged that while CM Punk was at AEW, Wardlow was one of the guys that got advice from him. So if we're taking all the big names
well,
here, if Punk suddenly turned heel and he needed a
yes,
bodyguard,
yes,
Wardlow.
exactly. I was going to say you mentioned when we were talking about Preston Vance, and you were saying that like if Cody needed a like CM Punk heel turn needs a bodyguard,
Mhm.
absolutely, because CM Punk not able really to work the way he used to. Um, Having a bodyguard like Wardlow would be perfect if he turns heel soon, which needs to happen, please. um, but yeah, I think that is a great cap on. I think who, as far as like who I think and who you think should go from AEW to WWE. Now, switching gears to who I think should go from WWE to AEW, and I think a lot of these choices are going to be names that we've talked about a lot, names that we've mentioned in the past that just need to be wrestling and killing it on the wrestling side. Stuff like we just saw another classic between Kyle Fletcher and Mike Bailey. And that was just because they were having an amazing wrestling match for a title. And I think a lot of guys in WWE right now would benefit from just that. And all right. So my first person, and this is mainly because I just want him to break out as a big name, and it's Chad Gable. As Chad Gable. Please. Well, obviously he would change his name if he went to AEW. Chad Gable is amazing. And the past couple of years, obviously, he's been used a lot before getting hurt and stuff like that. But I think he would benefit more than most people from just being able to kill it in the ring and have matches that we know he can have that he's not getting to have in WWE, mainly because he's pretending to be Mexican right now. And when he's not pretending to be Mexican, he gets treated like he doesn't matter, which I hate. And I think after WrestleMania, he's no longer going to be pretending to be Mexican. And what's going to happen then? Is he just going to fall to the back again? Imagine him having great matches with Mike Bailey, with Kyle Fletcher, with Kenny Omega, with MJF, with all of these people that he could just kill it with in the ring and still show some character, obviously. But, and like he's got the history with FTR and Champa. And the guy just deserves to just be an amazing wrestler. And I understand WWE has a different goal for characters. We know that. We've known that for decades at this point. if anybody would benefit more from just being a wrestler, he is number one. Like, in my opinion.
Yeah, just not to belabor the point because I don't want to drag you down to a rabbit hole about this whole messed up El Grande Americano gimmick, but it is very evidently clear that Ludwig Kaiser plays a way better El Grande Americano than the original intent. This happened by freak accident. Chad got injured. They needed some other guy in the suit, and they found a guy that wasn't doing anything. And it turns out he's went over in Mexico, in a market that they are trying to expand in. Of all the things that happens, a German guy is over in Mexico playing a luchador wrestler. I feel like if I don't know, you may have brought this up in a WrestleMania fantasy booking, but yeah, the sort of mask versus mask match between the Grande Americanos needs to happen. They're supposed to face each other on Raw as we're recording this next Monday. I don't know if this is just a lead up to that kind of match happening at Mania. But yeah, one of these guys needs to get unmasked. It's got to be Chad Gable. It makes no, because they're already alluding to the fact that there's something familiar about this guy. He's doing like this, what a chaotic suplex. I'm like, yeah, of course, because his finisher is not the chaos. They're like, there's something familiar about this guy. I can't quite put my finger on it. I'm like, stop treating us like morons. We know who it is. Just rip the Band-Aid off, get this over with. Now, are they going to immediately release him from his contract? I don't think so.
No, absolutely not. No. I mean, obviously, I don't know how long his deal is. I have no idea.
Yeah, right. But in terms of what you're saying, if the scenario is that Chad is available today and can go anywhere, he should go to AEW and just be the wrestler that he's really good at. And frankly, at this point, speaking of the El Grande Americano situation, the Pete Dunne and fucking Tyler Bate also stuck under those masks. Unless you are already at.
That was my next. That was my next choice.
Since we're already on the topic, why don't you?
Both of them.
Like, it's like, Pete Dunne is scheduled to be in the next Bloodsport, I think, in London, right?
Yes.
So he's still wrestling. So people still know him as Pete Dunne, but apparently on
Mania weekend.
Is that Mania weekend?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to check. It might be, if it's in Vegas, and I apologize, but I heard he's going to be in the next Bloodsport.
Yes.
I heard he's going to be in the next Bloodsport, and yet they have him on TV, also playing a Mexican wrestler, but which at this point is sort of like just overdoing the whole El Grande Americano gimmick.
Yeah.
Like, it was enough with just Ludwig Kaiser playing the role. He's killing it. I didn't really need the other two. They're gonna just pick like two guys from AAA, gave them some status and profile, and just say, these are my new bodyguards or advanced men or whatever. They don't need to take two accomplished wrestlers and then just hide them under a mask. But then again, as I mentioned before, there's a history of the WWE doing this where they take a guy and they put him under a mask. Whether it's to protect them from themselves, like they did with Terry Gordy as the executioner, but with the case of John Tenta as Golga, that was more a bit of just sort of kind of humiliation, which was unfortunate. Yes. I feel like this is the same thing. Like, I don't know what Pete and Tyler Bate did to deserve this, but at this point they should be in AEW if that's all they have for them over there.
Yeah, I mean, and they were teaming before as what was the name of their tag team?
The New Catch Republic.
That's it. And they weren't being taken seriously then, which is crazy because they're probably the two best wrestlers on the entire roster that aren't Io Sky. Like, I mean, I talk about this a lot. They are just being wasted, and I'm pretty sure that I don't remember how old Pete Dunne is, but I know for a fact that Tyler Bate hasn't even turned 30 yet. Pete Dunne, I think, maybe like 33 or something. But it's crazy to me that this is what they're doing. And I know recently Pete Dunne has been doing some coaching and also doing some producing. Maybe he's content with doing that, but I just don't understand because we talked about like for years now when they had the UK title tournament, the original UK title tournament. These two guys were at the top of the card. Pete Dunne was pegged from the beginning. They put him in a angle on the tournament where he beat up William Regal and made it to the finals and lost to Tyler Bate, who was not being touted at all. He just won the tournament. And he was supposed to be the next generation. Tyler Bate was supposed to lead the next generation. He was supposed to be this amazing wrestler, and he was for a while, teaming with Trent Seven in a great tag team, Mustache Mountain, and then Trent Seven left because he wasn't happy. He chose to leave. So because of that, Tyler Bate just got thrown to the side, which is crazy because he could have just been having North American title matches and Intercontinental title matches and US title matches. Did I ever see Tyler Bate as a world champion in WWE? Absolutely not. Not in WWE's Land of the Giants thing. They barely wanted to make Rey Mysterio a world champion. But Tyler Bate is too good to waste. And you can tell that when him and Pete Dunne are playing Bravo and Rio, Tyler Bate is obviously playing it up a lot more than Pete Dunne is. Maybe because he thinks it's funny. I don't know. Pete Dunne just does not want to be there doing that. You can tell he hates it. Like, it's very obvious that he hates it. But these guys are freaking amazing wrestlers. And you can't tell me that they wouldn't kill it in AEW as a team or as singles, and even in freaking Japan. You go to AEW and you can work New Japan. They would kill it in the New Japan Cup is going on right now. If the G1 was happening right now, they would be killing it in that. And I keep going back to it because it's fresh on the mind. Imagine them having matches with Kyle Fletcher. Imagine them having matches with Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight. Like, all these guys that are just amazing in the ring, that they would just have magical chemistry with. Instead, they're pretending to be Mexican and getting beat up all the time. It's crazy. And as you mentioned, Ludwig is going to keep the mask. Does that mean that they're just going to be stuck in this gimmick? Like, why?
No, see, if I bet a good chunk of money the way WWE operates, one day Ludwig Kaiser will just come in, ambush somebody, and we'll be like, "Oh my God, is that Ludwig Kaiser? He's back! Where the hell has he been?" And then we'll just completely forget El Grande Americano ever existed.
So,
like, it's a
Tyler Bate just turned 29, literally a week ago. And
yeah.
Pete Dunne will be 33 in November. So there is still so much for these guys to do. Their careers are not over. I mentioned Pete Dunne is doing some producing now. I think he's helping with AAA, which good on him, I guess, if he likes doing that. But like, and the occasional Bloodsport match as himself, not as Bravo, but like, I just want to see these guys kill it in the ring. And I'm sure he will at Bloodsport, no matter who he faces. He always does. But I want to see him face a ton of people that are not in WWE. The list is endless. Same thing with Tyler Bate. So, all right. So the next person I have. So these are going to be very obvious choices again because we've talked about a lot of these recently. And the next one is Johnny Gargano.
I can't believe I missed him. Oh boy.
For a multitude of reasons, but like the guy came back when there was a period where they weren't sure he was staying or not, and then he stayed, and they put him back with Ciampa, which was cool, but they didn't take them seriously as a tag team for most of the time, and now because Ciampa's contract expired, he left, went to AEW. Johnny Gargano's gimmick is now that he is very depressed. And he just lays around on the floor or on a random box in the backstage area.
Well, one of the boxes had a tape that said NXT, so I don't know if that was alluding to something, but
yes.
Yeah.
And even on social media, like he went to Ciampa's daughter's birthday and still did the thing. But like him and Ciampa just belong together. And as we've seen, Ciampa is killing it in AEW right now. He's only been there for like a month and he's already had like three classic matches with Mark
and
Briscoe.
Already turned heel. He just got there and turned heel in the exact same way that he betrayed Johnny Gargano.
Yes.
I don't know what that means, but it's like that's his thing.
Oh yeah, don't stand on a stage with Tommaso Ciampa.
Apparently,
people should know that by now. That's the third time that he's done this. So, yeah, I mean, and even if they didn't like team right away in AEW, which they absolutely should, because fucking FTR is there, and the Young Bucks are there, and all these other groups, tag teams, Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight are there that they could absolutely kill it with as a tag team, but also Johnny Gargano could be killing it in the TNT title division or the international or the continental if one of these belts doesn't fucking disappear. But yeah, I mean, and it's just very obvious that WWE is not going to use Johnny going to use Johnny Gargano to his potential on the main roster. It's just not going to happen. It's very obvious that that is not going to happen. And I don't think that this thing where he's just lying around depressed all the time is going to lead to anything spectacular. It's just going to keep happening. Most recently, he did a promo where he's like, oh, I have to get out of this funk and I have to get back to being Johnny Wrestling. And then he got squashed by Obafemi. You're muted.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. I'm agreeing with you. He's like, anybody, I'm gonna be Johnny Wrestling, and anybody bite him back, I'll fight him right now. And then Obafemi comes out, gets squashed in like 5 seconds. Yep. He went from the 2-time NXT champion who had like these insane matches, no DQ matches, ladder matches, match of the year candidates all around to like this. So it's almost like, oh my God, like, why?
And nobody knows how long he's signed for. Reports came out literally like today that he is very much under contract. Nobody knows what that means, but he could be there for another year. He could be there for another 2 years. Nobody knows. But either way, once that contract is over, whenever that is, if it's not sooner or later, he's got to go to AEW. He has to. Not even just because Ciampa is there, because he will get some kind of fulfillment out of enjoying wrestling again. Because it doesn't look like he's having fun right now. And it's not because he's playing this depressed gimmick. It literally does not look like he's enjoying himself. Like, there's certain times where you can, like, tell that people are just miserable in their job, especially in wrestling. He looks miserable. I mean, we saw that with, like, Ricochet. Ricochet said that WWE made him fall out of love with wrestling. And that's happened with a lot of guys. Because Johnny Gargano is just an amazing wrestler. Always has been, always will be. And he needs to have that opportunity to do that again. And he's not going to get that on either Raw or SmackDown. Ever. And I hate that for him specifically. But selfishly, I want to see him have all these amazing matches in AEW. And maybe New Japan down the line. And maybe Independence. And maybe this. And maybe that. Because he is just amazing at wrestling. Him and Andrade had probably the best match in WWE in the last decade in NXT. Imagine them having a singles match outside of WWE with no restrictions. It might blow that match out of the water. So, I hope that when the time comes, Johnny Gargano can make the jump. All right. I got two more choices, and both of them are tag teams. One of them is a female tag team. And I mentioned Bayley earlier. I decided to also lump in Lyra. Because for the same reason, really, the same reason that Bayley needs to leave, I think Lyra needs to leave. I feel like Bayley will be 100% happier if she leaves. And I kind of feel the same way about Lyra. Not that I don't think Lyra is enjoying her job right now. It looks like she's having a blast. But she's also an amazing worker, just like Bayley is. And you gotta believe that Bayley sees what's going on with Mercedes and is like, I want to do that. Like, all of that. With her or against her. All of that. And I just feel like she's been interacting with Chris Statlander on social media a lot recently. Obviously, her and Mercedes still have interactions. They still go to their big matches for each other. Whenever Mercedes had a big match, whether like the New Japan stuff in America, Bayley was there. And I just don't think there's anything left for her to do in WWE. I mean, sure, she could just become the champion again. We've seen that. What else is there for her? Like, are they going to change her character again? For a couple of months, she was split personality. That doesn't seem to be happening anymore. Now it's just her and Lyra as a tag team not winning all the time. I mean, Bayley just earned a shot at the Intercontinental title. She's going to face AJ, which I think was the safe choice to get AJ into a singles match with somebody that she trusts. And I'm not saying that won't be a good match. I hope it's good. Becky will probably ruin it. But I just want to see Bayley outside of WWE at this level, the level that she's at now. She's one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. And imagine her with no handcuffs. Imagine her doing the stuff that Mercedes is doing right now. All of it. Going on the indies, having these great matches on pay-per-view with Toni Storm, with Chris Statlander, with Megan Bain. The list goes on. And Lyra, the same thing. I feel like Lyra has a lot going for her, obviously. She's still very young. She still has a lot that she hasn't done. But I feel like, just like the other people in the other company, if they left and got the experience somewhere else, they would probably go back, just like Anna Jay. I feel like she could get the experience outside of WWE, and again, I mean, she's worked the indies, but not to the level I think that she's at now. Lyra is she's 29. Okay, I don't know why I thought she was younger than she actually is, but yeah, I just want to see. I want to see her just like Bayley without the handcuffs. I want to see her on the indies. I want to see her against Mercedes. I want to see her against all of these people that are having amazing matches outside of WWE with no handcuffs, with no restrictions. And I just feel like Lyra would reach another level if she left WWE.
So I agree with you on Bayley. I probably had thought about that recently as well. I'm not entirely sold on Lyra because at this point, I think she still has a lot to give currently where she is right now. Also, I understand that Beyonce just signed like some kind of performance center deal, so like he's working his way through the system.
I didn't even hear that.
I think I heard about that. He's not officially like in the like on track to be in like NXT or like next in line or whatever the program is, but like I heard he was like got a tryout of some kind. I feel like Lyra's abilities still. I feel like she still has some stuff to do. Like she's the first women's Intercontinental Champion. She did become a double champion at WrestleMania, so that's very rare for anyone to do. Like this whole thing about Bayley. Like Bayley is enough on her own to like get people to react, like and people in wrestling to like pay attention. Whether she goes in a different spelling of Bayley or like some other name that she comes in as, but
I don't think she would go back to Davina Rose. That's not a good
name. No, that's not something marketable. But you mentioned, but I want to move on to like some other ones because you mentioned that was like one of your final ones. There were like you talk about people that were sort of like wrestlers and they're just not really like in this company, that they don't really highlight that kind of thing. Shayna Baszler, yeah. I feel like I don't know if she just completely retired and has decided to just transition to do producing stuff backstage, but we've talked about like Shayna Baszler. If she was available, she would just go straight into AEW and probably team with Marina Shafir and be part of the Death Riders or something.
Yep.
I saw her most recently. You may have seen a clip of this. Apparently, giving tips to Kaylani Jordan, who had a NXT Underground match with Lola Vice. And I'm afraid that was the most cringiest video I've ever saw. It was just like, the last time I saw Shayna in such a cringy position was when she was teaming with like Nia Jax and they were going shopping, and it's like Shayna's like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
This was kind of almost the same thing. I was like, oh, Shayna Baszler, that's interesting. And then I'm like, oh no, I mean, I don't want to see Shayna Baszler like this. Although I had heard that she might do Bloodsport again, so I don't think she's completely out of the game. But
no, and
I would say the same with like Ivy Nile as well, because
Well, it's
No,
funny
I
you
don't know. Maybe
mention.
yeah, yeah.
It's funny you mention Ivy Nile because I was going to transition into my last thing that I have written down, which is the Creed brothers. What the fuck are the Creed brothers doing right now? Fuck
Nothing
all.
apparently.
Fuck all is what they're doing.
Are they still American made, or are they the Creed brothers again, or like what's going on with those
I
two?
mean, they still come out to the Kurt Angle-esque music, so I
So
just
yeah, like they would do well in NXT, even though that's where they came from, or in TNA. They've got this sort of like presentation. Like Brutus is like this crazy ball of energy, and sometimes he just like his brother is so stoic. He's just almost like the Arn Anderson,
yeah
and then suddenly Brutus would be just like ah, kind of
yeah
like Javon Evans, like shouting in the camera. He's got like
yeah
that energy. He's like all over the place. Like I could see him and like Tank from NXT like screaming in each other's faces, and it would just be funny.
uh-huh.
No, like not for like wrestling purposes. It would just be funny, like those two personalities kind of like going like this. But yeah, it's like I don't know what those guys are doing. Like, I mean, you got such talented guys here. It's just like not being used.
Julius Creed is one of the most like smoothest wrestlers on their entire roster. And he's just him and his brother are just on main event having random matches that nobody watches because nobody watches main event. There might be like 3 people that watch main event. It's crazy to me that these two are not at the top of the tag team division being the best wrestlers on the entire roster. Like, just like Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Like, these guys are amazing. They're amazing as a duo, obviously. They're brothers. They have amazing chemistry. But, like, the same thing with Chad. Like, if Chad leaves, he would just be an amazing wrestler. The Creed brothers against FTR would be amazing. The Creed brothers versus the Young Bucks would be amazing. The Creed brothers versus Jet Speed would be amazing. The list goes on. I would love to see them work in Japan as well. Work the tag league. Imagine if they worked the tag league, they would kill it. And like obviously, if them and Chad both left, I don't think you have to put them back together as a group. But like, if they were back together as a group, not in WWE, they would certainly be used to their potential. Like, it's crazy that they're literally doing nothing for like the last 2 years. Like, Chad is back, not as Chad, but the fact that Chad is back and they haven't even acknowledged that he's back when they knew that that was him the entire time. Brutus almost said it on screen when Ludwig first put the mask on. Like, and then just nothing. Nothing at all. They're literally doing nothing. And it's like, why are you wasting these guys? They're amazing. So I think that they would benefit from leaving WWE, and I think they would kill it in AEW, but Japan, they would specifically kill it in Japan, for sure. Yeah.
I also had some other names I had down. I had Natty down here, Natalia.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Or Natty, because I'm not saying Natalia. Natalia belongs in WWE. Natty belongs, I think, somewhere else. Because I just think the WWE environment would just censor and restrict what she's been showing on like Bloodsport, GCW.
Well, they don't know how to use it. They don't know how to use the gimmick. They brought it in.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Like the first match
they're really trying to
had. Sorry, the first match she had in the gimmick was a no contest, and she brought the gimmick in to train Maxine and wasn't on TV for 3 months. Because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to make this work because it works better outside of WWE where she was using it, like in GCW, because there's no handcuffs in GCW.
Right. Natty on but WWE, I don't think she has her bodyguards, which actually enhances the presentation. Right. That's just one thing. I would have put in another name, but I don't think he's gonna move anytime soon. They just started doing something with him. Charlie Dempsey, William Regal's son, who's already shown that he's more than capable of doing good wrestling matches in GCW, Bloodsport. Noah. There's at least they are trying something different with him because he was just not doing anything for a while since his group kind of dissolved. And now they put him in a new group called the Birthright. So they're all like the sons of, like, I guess, former legends in the business.
And
Charlie Regal. Yeah, and Charlie Regal, Ariana, Morella, Uriah Finley, Brian Pillman Jr., and Stax.
Yeah.
What is? That makes no sense to me. So, other than that, the only thing that makes sense is Charlie Dempsey being paired on screen with his dad right now. So that's that.
Well, and that was part of the reason why William Regal went back, was to be with his son.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of, like, if he was available, Charlie Dempsey would probably fit in more of an AEW style, New Japan, that sort of thing. Yeah. I did have, like, Ilya Dragunov and Dragon Lee down here.
Well, I mean,
I may have to.
Dragon Lee is.
I may have to, like, yeah, it's a little more obvious. Ilya, now that I think about it, I am not entirely sure, because at that point I'm just almost cannibalizing the WWE mid-card roster, and they kind of need somebody. I think they kind of need somebody with that kind of energy and that sort of, like, because Ilya comes out in this giant robe. He comes out to, like, Russian opera. This is the kind of goofy shit that, like, WWE fans, like, kind of like.
I can't believe he got that neck tattoo.
Ilya?
Yeah.
I haven't even noticed. Hold on, let me look this up. Look up this neck tattoo.
You've never noticed his tattoo?
I haven't seen him as often, so I don't know what to look. Let's see, Dragunov. Let's see. Okay, let's see. What am I looking at here? Yeah, good shot of Ilya with his. Okay, hold on. Oh, is it like this thing on? Oh, that's not a good picture. Oh shit. Okay. Wow. This is like, what is that? It looks like It looks like you got chopped by Gunter, and the scars just never healed.
Yeah. I don't even know what it's supposed to be. It's like a dragon. I think it's a dragon.
It might be a dragon. I mean, it kind of looks like that thing that Brock Lesnar has on his back, right? So, I mean, somewhat similar to it, but it's like, yeah, okay, I see what you're looking at now. Okay. Wow. Okay. But yeah, like, look, Ilya, at first I thought maybe his style's a little more, but I'm thinking, no, his moves are, like, kind of a little bit flashy, flamboyant. I think they'd be fine in WWE. He actually could deliver an intelligent promo, which I think they need a little bit more in WWE right now, because everybody has, like, catchphrase, my lemon pepper steppers. So what do you want to talk about? Acknowledge me. I'm like,
I am so over catchphrases being forced. So over it.
By the way, as just another side note, Cody going, what do you want to talk about? And Trick Williams, hey, let's talk about it. It's literally the same catchphrase. It's just, I don't know, why do they have the same catchphrase? I don't know.
CM Punk needs to stop saying, is it good to be alive in so-and-so city? So, yeah,
that is a throwback to sort of a Mick Foley cheap pop kind of thing he's trying to do. I feel like
he needs to stop that. Obviously, I think if he turns heel, he will stop that. But
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that everybody that we listed, I would just be better off out of WWE to be more obviously to be more extreme about their abilities in the ring, because all of these people are not getting that in WWE. Natty is the perfect example of that. Natty is they like we mentioned it before. They do not know what to do with that at all. She got them to she convinced them to let her use it. And the only reason it got over is because it wasn't in WWE. But yeah, I think that down the line, if any of these people decide to leave, they will not only be happier because they will be more fulfilled as wrestlers, which I think all of these people want to be, are wrestlers. And they won't be on a show that has 2 matches and 60 minutes of promos.
Right. So going back to our original discussion, we started talking about a guy like Danhausen, who is tailor made for like backstage segments, non sports entertainment stuff,
Yeah,
cinematic matches, cinematic presentations. I don't even know if they'll have this guy wrestle. He doesn't need to. He just needs to
yeah.
like give somebody a jar of teeth, start cursing people, and start making crazy demands as general managers. Like, we're
I
all laughing at that because it's a fits, right?
I
And the
was
point of
very
your
sorry.
yeah,
Go ahead.
and the point of this whole episode we're doing tonight is let's find the people in WWE whose wrestling is better, but because they don't have enough time on the show, or the show is like dedicated to other shit, or WWE is not AEW, right? So they're not gonna do as much wrestling, I guess, as they do sports entertainment stuff. Let's take those people and hopefully they can find some space in AEW, New Japan, TNA, whatever. And let's take the people in AEW that do a little more of that entertainment aspect and put them in WWE where they would fit better. And I think, as we mentioned, Danhausen found a spot that way.
Yeah,
Andrade went back, seems to have found his niche again.
yeah,
And there should be more space for people like that to do that kind of thing.
yeah. I 100% agree, and I think that down the line, obviously, this has been happening forever in wrestling. People jumping ship, going to another company. I mean, WCW and WWE were doing it every week, like, uh, you know. But yeah, I think the landscape is so much different now, and it's very obvious that like the whole reason that AEW exists is to be an alternative to WWE, to be different from WWE. And that difference is more wrestling. And that's why a lot of people that we mentioned specifically who are considered shooters or just fans of the art of wrestling as a whole would be better suited outside of it. Um, but yeah, so as far as this topic goes, I think we have reached our end. Before we close out, um, I wanted to talk about this a little, considering it's very big in the news right now. Um, there was an incident that took place at an Ohio Valley Wrestling event. Um, there was a match going on where a referee took a bump, a planned bump, and something went wrong, and he very obviously had a seizure in the ring. This is obviously something that I I don't talk about this a lot for obvious reasons, but I have a history of seizures. So um when I see something like that, happen in a wrestling ring and the way that it happened, it becomes real at that point. It's not about wrestling anymore. And unfortunately, when this happened, the person who performed the move seemed to notice that something was wrong, but everybody else did not. Everybody else just went on like the match that like he's doing what he's supposed to do. He took a bump. But if he had taken a bump and was fine, he would not have been very obviously in the center of the ring, just laying there convulsing. At that point, the match should be stopped and the ref should be looked at. And this doesn't obviously come up a lot in wrestling, but when somebody has a seizure, you're not supposed to physically move them. You're supposed to wait for it to stop. And one of the wrestlers took it upon himself to very nonchalantly like push the referee out of the way with his foot. That is 100% the wrong thing to do in that situation. 100% the wrong thing to do. Because if you're rolling somebody over while they're having a seizure, you can cause more issues. And it's very obvious that when this happened, nobody. I think it's very clear that in wrestling, something like this doesn't happen very often. So a lot of people don't know what to do in the situation when it does. But also, you have to be able to be made aware that it's happening. So I feel like something needs to be done where this can be prevented again. If something like this ever happens again, it can't go the way that this went. Because OVW as a company has been around for a very long time and touts the fact that they are professional wrestling, touts the fact that they are safe wrestling. Al Snow has gone on multiple podcasts talking about how AEW is very dangerous. But something like that has never happened in AEW. That happened in his ring. And that is not okay. There needs to be some kind of thing in place for people to be prepared for this. There needs to be some kind of training done in all of wrestling for people to be prepared for something like this, because it got to a point where it was not about wrestling anymore. It was about a guy who was having this seizure, and the people around him literally did nothing. And that's not okay. It's not about wrestling at that point. It's about somebody's well-being. And obviously, this is something that's very close to me. Like I said, I have a history of seizures. I have family with history of seizures. And knowing how these things are supposed to be handled, that was so unfortunate to see. And obviously people were sharing the video around. Don't share the video. If you see the video, don't share it. You can put in your 2 cents, you can talk about it, you can have your opinion, you can denigrate the people that were involved. That's all above board, in my opinion, because the wrestlers involved did not know how to handle that situation and deserve to be treated that way at that point, because a guy's life was in danger at that point. But don't share the video for likes. Don't share the video for engagement. Just talk about how this should have been prevented. Talk about how the referee, his name is Dallas Edwards, um, is seemingly doing better. But if you're going to show support, don't share the video. And that's really all I have to say about it. Obviously, like I said, this was very close to me because I have a history. And yeah, we don't say this enough, but like everybody has to be taken care of inside and outside of the ring in wrestling, and you can't just go about your business in that situation. It's a fake sport. Wrestling is fake. You don't have to get your shit in if something catastrophic like that is happening. So I just wanted to say my thing about it. If you have anything to add, you're more than welcome to.
Not really. I mean, I haven't actually. I know you sent the video to me, but like offline, but I haven't seen it. I don't really think I should watch it at this point from the way you're describing things. Doesn't really help matters. I think the only thing I can say is that they probably just need better medical training for people, or like better like medical staff on hand when it comes to these kind of events, right? But like, how much is that? Like, is that it? I would say that is a worthwhile and probably at this point needed expense to put into account when you are a wrestling company and you hold a show like this. Like, you have like a proper doctor on site to see if someone's having a major serious issue that they need to stop immediately and deal with it, rather than like try to work it as part of the story, which that's just what it sounds like, which is kind of sick. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak ill of the people who say like certain companies are unsafe and like they're, whether they're hypocritical of themselves or not, but yeah, this is just a sad situation that it shouldn't be it should not be a regular thing.
Yeah. So with that, we're gonna close it out. Sorry to close it out on a somber note, but make sure to go to our linktree / going over big time podcast for all the ways to support us, to watch and listen to the podcast, as well as support us on social media. And yeah, just usually we say watch the wrestling you want to watch, but today I'm going to say take care of each other. And that's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.